Oh, hey, welcome. This is Safe Enough to Be Dangerous, where I break down the why behind all those safety rules. Because let's be honest, the job doesn't care what the rules say, they care what you do when shit gets real. Every time somebody gets hurt at work, you'll hear the same thing. They should have just used common sense. You know, it's funny, everyone seems to throw this word around, common sense, but no one can actually explain what that is. But somehow it's always obvious after the fact. People love to use that word, common sense, like it's free download we get at birth when we're coming into this world. A set of rules that everyone operates on, just by knowing them. If that were true, the world's hospitals wouldn't be full of people that got hurt doing something dumb. But common sense isn't a skill. It's hindsight dressed up wearing a Halloween mask. I'm a safety professional. I work in construction and industrial settings, places where human behavior gets really expensive really fast. But this video isn't about workplace safety entirely. It's more about human behavior. It's about how humans are wired. People assume, people skip steps, people get tunnel vision, people will walk by a hazard and not see it as if their brain's out to lunch or they're thinking about last night's text message marathon. Understanding why people miss the obvious is the first step towards fixing it. Hindsight bias. This is the psychological glitch behind the myth of common sense. Once we know how something ended, be it an incident, an argument, some mistake you made, our brain naturally rewrites events as if the ending was predictable. It convinces us that we knew all along. We didn't. The brain hates uncertainty, so it edits the story. And here's the dangerous part. Once something seems obvious to us, we expect it to be obvious for everyone. That's how you get parents saying, "You should have known better." Or you get veterans on the job rolling their eyes at rookies, or maybe your partner in your relationship just saying, "You should have known. How could you not have known?" In accident investigations, hindsight bias is a silent killer. Once we know how someone got hurt, the reason why seems obvious, even though in the moment there was absolutely nothing obvious about it. Most decisions are made under pressure, with distractions all around you, and you not having all the complete information. That's not stupidity, that's just life. Common sense is just experience pretending it was always the obvious choice. Okay, now these 4 glitches can explain away the reasoning behind most common sense errors that you've experienced. Diffusion of responsibility. It's human behavior. When you walk past a problem, you're going to assume that someone else is going to take care of it. That's why spills in the workplace get untouched or don't get touched, and hazards just become a permanent fixture. It's not laziness. It's ancient programming. In the group setting, people's efforts get outsourced unless they were explicitly put in charge of something. Or modern translation, someone else will get it. 2. Inattentional blindness. Your brain filters about 99% of the environment around you. If something doesn't move or demand your attention, your brain puts it on the back burner. That's why people will walk into poles, miss warning signs, or step over a hazard that's been there because now it's just furniture. 3. Normalizing deviance. Do something unsafe once without repercussions. Your brain has now reclassified that as a safe behavior. Do it 10 times, now that's just standard operating procedure according to your brain. And that's how bypassing safeguards, not using all the PPE, or taking shortcuts becomes part of the culture. Not because anyone chose danger, but repetition has institutionalized that change. And 4, cognitive load. When your mental mailbox is full with messages, deadlines, everyday stress, your mental focus narrows greatly. Obvious details will fall through the cracks. And the most distracted people are oftentimes the most confident because they don't even see what they're missing. They think that they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Cognitive load turns people into hazard ignoring zombies. Not because they want to be dangerous, but it's biology. Once you understand all of this, you'll see these patterns pop up everywhere. Not just work safety, but everywhere in your life. Home life. You've seen it. Someone will take a cold dish from the refrigerator, put it in the oven, start heating it up, and wonder why it exploded. Or they'll take a damp oven mitt, start grabbing a hot pan, and wonder why now their hand's trapped in a steam hazard. These are all people, normal adults, who have jobs, who pay bills, and who think they have common sense. Parenting. Kids scare their parents daily. Not because they want to, but because they haven't lived long enough to know what's dangerous and what isn't. They're not lacking common sense. They're just lacking mileage, relationships. One partner will drop a hint, the other one will miss it. Both swear it was obvious, but two different brains don't always have the same assumptions. Workplace. Ladders used as bridges to walk across, a step stool on top of a rolling chair, or a forklift squeezing through an impossible gap. Human nature loves shortcuts. Convenience beats caution, unless there's something forcing their attention. And I love this one. The invisible gorilla study. This is where they took a group of people with a basketball and they had them pass the basketball back and forth to each other. And this was filmed. They later took subjects to view the film and they were instructed to count how many times that basketball was passed. Naturally, this ball got passed quicker and quicker, and it took their attention to count each one of those passes. So lo and behold, when someone dressed as a gorilla walked through the scene, waving, beating their chest, almost half of the people that were told to count the passes entirely missed the gorilla in the scene. Not because they're dumb, but because their attention was occupied. Attention is a narrow spotlight. Whatever's not in that spotlight falls out of your perception. Doesn't matter if it's huge, wearing fur, and looks ridiculous. It still gets pushed aside. And that's why you'll hear on the job, I swear that hazard wasn't there a second ago. Yeah, it was, but your brain was busy at the time. So here's where common sense completely falls apart. Common sense isn't universal. It's based on your own experiences built over time, not from logic. What feels obvious to you can be invisible to someone else because you may have done it longer, you've been burned before, you grew up around these risks, you've seen failures that other people haven't. You were trained differently. You literally think differently. Expecting two people who have had vastly different experiences to have the same common sense is like expecting two strangers to be in on the same inside joke. And let's be honest, companies love the term common sense because it's clean and neat and takes the responsibility and places it on the worker. Something goes wrong, investigation's wrapped up, and it says they should have used common sense. Translation is, we built a safety system that ignores human behavior, so now we're going to expect the worker to be psychic and know everything. If common sense actually existed, no one would be climbing shelves, texting while they're driving, or doing things that make OSHA twitch when they see it. Look, people aren't broken. The myth of common sense is what's broken. So here's how to actually use this information in real life. Don't assume people know what you didn't teach them. Information doesn't happen magically. It has to be taught. It has to be explained. If you didn't explain it, then they don't know it. Replace the phrase, be safe, with instructions on how to be safe. The phrase by itself means nothing without clear instruction on what to watch out for, what the dangers are, and how to avoid them. 3, make hazards easily identifiable. Tape it, spray paint it, put caution tape around it, whatever you have to do to interrupt someone else's autopilot mode as they're walking past it. And 4, this one's my favorite. Explain the why and not just the rule. Meaning drives behavior more than compliance ever will. And 5, check your own blind spots. Ask yourself, what have I been doing that I assume is safe, but it really isn't? And these shifts work with not just your work crews, it works with kids, your partners, family, strangers out on the street, just everyday normal human reactions. So if you take nothing else from this episode, please take this. Common sense isn't missing, it isn't hiding, it isn't broken. The problem isn't that people today are missing common sense. The real problem is we pretend that common sense ever existed in the first place. Common sense is just personal experience dressed up as a universal truth. What actually keeps people safe, be it at work, at home, out on the street, isn't some magical instinct we all got at birth. It's a shared understanding of our environment, a shared awareness, a shared sense. Build that with the people you work with, the people you surround yourself with, and I guarantee you things will get a whole lot less stupid and a little bit safer. And if this episode made anything at all click with you, good, because I'm just getting started.